Hey everyone, welcome. I want to talk about how to create a vision. This is the common question actually, and you might think that it sounds simple, but it's really not. Like, we can get sidetracked from visioning all the time. In fact, most people, I would say, probably don't even vision. They don't vision for themselves. And then we get intermingled too with our personal and professional vision, which is fine as long as you're clear on that's what you're doing. So, like, if you want to do something that you love so much that it doesn't feel like work, then you're really kind of intermingling those and you're clearly doing it. Some people have, like, here's my work professional stuff over here and here's my personal stuff over here. And then they end up focusing on the personal stuff and forget the professional stuff, or the other way around. So it's really a lot about visioning is so much about having clarity. And visioning is not a one-time process. Visioning is something you do over and over again, and you fine-tune. You might have a big process, and then you fine-tune and you fine-tune and you fine-tune it. And then next year, you do the big process again, and you fine-tune and you fine-tune and you fine-tune. So it's really it's also the starting point. If you don't get your visioning right, then you're going off in the wrong direction and you're wasting your time and your money and your freedom and maybe your happiness. Like, so many things can get sidetracked if your vision isn't what you really want. And the other thing I want to say is, don't put so much pressure on ourselves to get it perfect, because maybe the first year you realize that, geez, this, at the end of that first, you create this vision, you're gone on the path, you go and you go and you go, and then at the end of that year, starting the second year, you're realizing, oh, that wasn't really my vision, that was someone else's vision. That was my boss's vision, my husband's vision, my mom's vision. Like, I never really got in touch with myself. Like, that is also an unfolding process. So you need to expect that you're going to make mistakes along the way, that you're going to, that it's not going to be perfect. You are not going to get the perfect vision. And in fact, to get a really solid, rock hard, oh my God, this is exactly what I want to do. This is so spot on. I got this process down. I'm really doing this well. I've got clear ideas in my head. I've got so much clarity. Takes years and years and years of practice. And so the point is of visioning is to practice, right? Visioning is a practice. Even though you're putting it on paper or you're creating a vision board or whatever it is a practice. And so that everything else falls from, or gets created from, that original vision. So it's a practice. Don't expect it to be perfect. Don't expect it to be 100%. And that's why you fine tune as you go along, and that's why you do it every year. Some people do it every 6 months, once a quarter even. You can do that as well. The important part is that you do it. You do it over and over and over again, so you have to know yourself enough to know what is realistic that I could possibly do. Hey, Lori, thanks for coming. So you have to know, you have to do something that you will follow up on. You know that you'll do it again next year. So don't do more than what you think you can do, and don't do less than what you're capable of either. You have to find out who you are. And that's what visioning is finding out who you are. So that's why it's not, and we are dynamic human beings. We are always changing. We always have new ideas. Our heart gets pulled in different directions. That's why this is just not a perfect process, a one-stop shop, and it's done, and everything's all wrapped up in a perfect package. It is not that. That's not what visioning is all about. So that's kind of the theoretical piece of it. And then the practical piece of it, of how you do it, there's a number of things to think of. One is that give yourself some time. Like, really, literally, give yourself a month or 2 or 3 of, like, big questions. Asking yourself big questions. What do I love to do in life? Hi, Edna. What do I love to do in life? What makes my heart sing? What brings me joy? How do I have happiness? Start a gratitude practice so that you're in a, because this is where some people get stuck too, is like they're so worried about the present moment. They're so worried about the things that just happened in their lives that was hard. And they're trying to get out of this challenging thing. So you need to start to shift your thinking into positivity so that your visioning can come through. So yeah, I'm so happy you're here too. Hey Florence, so happy you're here. So you need to be able to channel that, so to speak. And so I lost my thought here, but so that visioning piece of shifting your mindset so that your mind can start to know the things that bring you joy. Your mind can start to know the things that make you happy. Your mind can start to connect with yourself. Your mind can say, oh, it's safe to dream. If we're in survival mode, if we're worried all the time, it's going to minimize our ability to dream because our nervous system doesn't feel safe enough to be able to expand into the ability to dream. And so that's why having, even this step of, I'm happy you're here too, Florence. That's why this step of shifting your mindset, whether it's a gratitude practice or meditation or all of the above or whatever you can do to create more happiness in your life, to notice the feelings of happiness, is going to shift you in that way that you can start to dream more. You can start to think about, and this is about business too, that you can start to open up to what the possibilities are for your life. Yay! That's what visioning is all about. And so those of you who are hopping on here later, you might want to go back to the beginning of this. Was really important actually. So that mindset piece, gratitude practice, whatever it is you're going to help you to open up your sense of possibility is the key. And then the visioning pieces is being able to get in touch with yourself on a regular basis and asking yourself, and whatever your spiritual beliefs are, your beliefs about the world, you're gonna have to figure out what questions those are for you. But they can be questions like, what's trying to come through me? What makes me happy? What makes my heart sing? What am I here to do on the planet? What can I do that doesn't feel like work? Those kinds of questions you can ask yourself. And that's going to help you in your visioning process. And the other thing you want to really notice is, what are the things that are creating pictures in your mind? Do you have pictures in your mind of giving presentations to huge audiences, doing small group work, working one-on-one with people, doing workshops, working for a company, traveling, doing yoga? Like, what pictures come to your mind that can, those usually mean something. So you want to pay attention to those, and what are your thoughts and feelings about those pictures? The other thing you want to do to get your visioning process going is try different things. When we get stuck in a rut, when we do the same daily grind every single day, and I don't care if you do something very small, drive a different route to work or to school or whatever that is, or if it's something major like, take a big trip somewhere, we need to get out of our daily routine in order for our brain to start to say, oh, something else might be happening here. There's other ideas that might be happening here. There's other possibilities that might be opening up here. So, and we all know that, right? When we go on vacation, you're all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, this part of my life isn't working. Or, oh, you have all these ideas of things you'd like to change in your life. And so with visioning, it's really helpful to start to do some different things, try different things, try, yoga or a bowling league, or, I don't know what it is for you, but try some things that like, oh, that dance class, pole dancing. I shouldn't have called it strip pole dancing, but pole dancing, like whatever whatever might shake up your mind and shake up your body, but also sounds interesting to you. It needs to be interesting. You don't want to like take up welding when you have zero interest in welding. You want to do something like that to again shake up your mind, and you don't have to go crazy. Again, this is a process, and it's going to take you years to hone it in. Some people quicker than others who have more privilege of being able to, you know, go on vacation, lots of vacations and yoga retreats or whatever. And other people who are, you know, have less ability to be able to do that. It might take longer, but that's okay. Your visioning process can still happen. And so that's why you can start doing small things to shift your mind into opening up to like, oh, I don't have to drive this way to work every single time. Oh, I don't actually have to have sugar in my coffee every single time. I am actually not going to die if I don't have sugar in my coffee. They can be small things that can shift your brain. And so you want to be doing those things to help open up your mind to new possibilities. And then, so those are just like lots of little ideas of how to like, you want to shake up your mind. You just really want to shake up your mind. And then the visioning process itself is not too hard in terms of you want to, again, and I would recommend having a notebook that's dedicated to visioning for a while. And it might be a notebook that's dedicated to visioning for year after year, where you can, hi Ashley, where you can write down, you know, thoughts and feelings that come up. Like sometimes they're obscure things like, wow, this just popped in my head. Or wow, I don't know why, but I just had this vision of me, you know, or a dream of me teaching yoga, you know, to a group of elderly women in a retirement center. Like, I don't know where that came from. Write it down. And it doesn't mean that has to become your vision, but it is telling you something. And part of the process is like, where does this fit into the picture? And you may or may not figure that out, but but it is part of the picture. So it is something coming through from yourself. So I want you to just be clear about that. And then in terms of the visioning process, I also always recommend things like meditation, finding ways to quiet your mind. Where can you do that? How can you quiet your mind? And I don't care if you do breathing exercises during the day, where the out breath is longer than the in breath. That's an important aspect of any breathing exercise. Or it is, a meditation, and there's all these different kinds of meditations too. But the key is some way to quiet your mind, because all the chatter that happens is minimizing our ability to get to our vision. And so you want to be able to start to allow that chatter to fall away. Our visioning is best achieved when we can access more and more of our subconscious mind, more and more of the things that are in our subconscious mind. So this is why, I hope you're understanding too, why like this isn't just like this one-time process. This is something that gets better and easier year after year. And then so again, quieting down that chatter, and then you just want to like keep making notes in your notebook. You want to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings about things. You want to pay attention to what makes you happy. You want to look at magazines or hi Laurel. You want to talk to people about, can you throw out like, oh, I had this weird dream the other day where I was talking to thousands of people at a conference. I couldn't believe it. I was dressed to the nines. My hair looked amazing. Like, you know, are you, like, how do you feel when you say that to somebody? You can practice those things. Like, what comes up for you? You want to experiment with your thoughts and feelings. And as human beings, so many of us are not used to doing that. But it's actually a really healthy thing to do. And you might walk away from that going, that actually didn't feel good. Like, it just didn't feel good. And that's okay. That's helping, it's helping your brain to integrate where you're going with this. And so a big part of this is just figuring that out. Like, what's going on right now? What's happening right now? And so when you can experiment, and this is definitely an experimentation process to do visioning, then that is so helpful. Hey, Sherry. So, okay, so doing that is incredibly helpful. And then, and writing things down in your notebook. Again, you want to write things down because I guarantee, well, if you're anything like me, you forget. And I do forget things. And then you want to pay attention to magazines, pay attention to billboards, pay attention to, and so many of these things like that are in magazines and billboards. Get a magazine or, you know, a website or a blog or something that is connected to things that you are interested in. Pay attention to the things you're interested in. Absolutely. So, and then pay attention to the visuals that shows as well. And you just really want to start to hone in. Your brain will start to filter through what looks interesting to you. And you want to not allow any limitations to happen. So you want to pay attention to, so, you know, you could ask the question, you know, if I was a billionaire, would I do this? If I had no worries about money, would I be interested in this? Like you need to not allow any limitations to happen. You need to not allow a limitation that if you are speaking to people, you're writing a book, you know, any words of discouragement you've ever had in your life. Like you can't think about those things when you're visioning. This isn't about what you're going to do tomorrow. This is about what you came on the planet to do. This is about achieving your greatness that you've been called to do. And so, and it doesn't matter if you achieve these things or not. That is not the relevant piece here either. You're not going to be measuring your vision. You will not be doing that. You're just going through a visioning process. And so you want to really pay attention to those things that come up. You want to write them down. You want to notice, you know, notice out in the world, notice the people you see in the street and the things they're doing, notice the way they're talking. That if you find someone who like is a clear communicator and you really like that, like, oh, I wish I could do that, you put that in your vision about communication, about mending relationships, about conflict resolution, or whatever those things are, you put those in your notebook. And then, so this takes a while, right? Like, give yourself weeks, I would say, or at least 3 weeks, if not longer, to really encapsulate all of this, to be able to have an integrated enough idea of like, and again, you don't have to be super specific in your vision, but oh my gosh, I just love these things about what I'm noticing in the world and the possibilities for me of whether it's writing a book or whatever it is. And then in that process of visioning too, it's great if you can get specific, but you don't have to. You just don't have to in a vision. And especially if you're new to this, if you want to, again, I talked about this in the beginning, about this can be a years after years after year process to finally get clarity. And so you want to make sure that you're doing things, you're doing the practice, and you're not letting anything shut you down. And so I would rather see you do the practice and not get specific than try to get specific and not do anything, and not like just stop doing it altogether, because it's like, I'll never write that book about XYZ. Well, if the XYZ part scared you so much that you couldn't do it, you couldn't keep going in the practice, then I'd rather not you get that specific. So the whole idea of visioning is to open up to possibilities. And that's what I want to see you do. And so I gave you lots of ideas of lots of practices you could implement to support yourself in moving forward with that. I'd love to hear your comments, like especially what's your biggest takeaway? What's the one thing you might implement from this? What's the visioning that you might start to do? What are some of your ideas on your vision too? And I guarantee you, this year it might be to write a book. And next year it might be to, do a tour of the world, teaching a workshop on compassion or teaching kids. It might be something completely different, but that's part of the process. And that's one thing that I want you to know is that process can be over here and then over here and then over here. But you will, as you get better and better and better at it, you start to like, oh, I'm going to stick with this for a while because this really is amazing and just is where I'm at. And I know I could dedicate my next decade to this. And you may or may not know this at first. So that's my ideas on visioning, and I really hope that you take advantage of these ideas. And again, let me know, gives me hearts and thumbs up about things you enjoyed about this too. And just have a beautiful, amazing day. All right, bye-bye.